how is it possible that Christians who know the Bible, who know, that God is omnipotent and all loving and all powerful, like, how is it that Christians can get caught up in believing lies about who God is?
Well, I think it all comes down to what does it mean to truly know something. I think we often say, well, I know, or I've heard that, or, you might even have it memorized or something like that, but it's a different world when it's part of your worldview, when it literally is the driving force of your decisions, of how you see the world, how you perceive people, yourself, reality. And I think you can read something and say, oh, yeah, I know that. But man, there's just been so many times where God is exposed in my own life where I could have preached, I had messages, I had notes on subjects, and like God would reveal to me that I do not believe it. Like I really don't, because I don't live it. And especially when I'm squeezed, right? Does it come out, right? Is that the thing that emerges? And many times it's not, and it's because I like it. I might like being associated with it, but at my core, I don't truly believe. And so again, I think there's times where we might know things that we have because we've heard them kind of at a surface level, head level, but at a heart level, we sometimes don't even know what we believe, what we don't believe until again, we're under pressure and we're squeezed. And that's usually when it comes out.
Yeah, and I feel like it's kind of easy to fake it. Like we all know what we're supposed to look like, what we're supposed to sound like, what we're supposed to say about God in our Bible studies or in our, discipleship groups. Like I can talk all day long about the fact that God is a father, but that doesn't mean that I really understand or believe or operate like he's a father or like he's a good father. And I've struggled with this actually for a long time, trying to seeing this discrepancy between what I claim to believe or what I know is right. Maybe even I know that, for example, God loves me, but there's like a disconnect in my heart around that. And I think that's kind of what we're talking about here tonight is when you can't, either you don't know that distance, or when you can't overcome that distance, you sort of have to figure out, how do I make do with what I've got? Like, how do I continue to operate in my role as a pastor or a missionary or as a father or, sitting in the pew, whatever, it doesn't matter. You still kind of need to present yourself as this Christian who knows and does what they're supposed to do. And that's not always the
Maybe,
case.
maybe. That sounds like a horrible scenario, but yeah,
Or
maybe.
abandon it all and be authentic self.
I don't know. It's somewhere in between. Is authenticity is should be Christianity 101, but so should humility and not saying, well, this is just who I am, but seeing, when you're not what you know you should be, right? You know the right, but you do the wrong. Paul talks about it's not you doing, it's a sin operating in you. And so it's like, okay, well, who's going to help us, right? And thankfully there is help, and that Jesus can deal with that. But man, what a horrible life to be struggling on the inside and be having to fake, to everybody. And I think we got to get rid of that version of Christianity stat.
I've even faked it to myself for a long time, like not aware. And I think that's what we're going to get into here. Sometimes God reveals to us things that we're believing that we're clueless to. And that's where, if you're listening, this is not necessarily something that you're sitting here saying, oh yeah, I know I'm believing a lie, or I know that I'm, messed up in my thinking on this. You might actually think you're good to go. And you might actually have figured out how to sort out the consequences of it in your life, and you go talk to the Lord, and the Lord's like, no, you're believing this lie. And you're like, oh, shoot.